What a beautiful day. Again, I think that I started last week's vlog in much the same way. Gorgeous weather. This morning, my husband and I did some work in the yard work. Exhausting and tiring, but now I'm all cleaned up from that and I am ready to go and get my hair cut. Oh, there's a fox. Can you see the baby? Oh, he's walking away over there. It's fuzzy because I have it on portrait video. He's keeping an eye on me. I'm not gonna come after you, buddy. Well, he's still keeping an eye on me, but he's all the way in the neighbor over, like past our immediate neighbor. Anyway, I'll keep an eye on him. So, I'm heading off to get my hair cut. And then my husband and I are going to go and to our town's flower show, which is this weekend every year. So we'll have a little date there. So looking forward to that. But I did want to mention that I finished reading A Brilliant Night of Stars and Ice. And I posted a short of it, of my review of it, which I am going to try and start doing that if I can keep up with it. Posting a short, quick, immediate reaction view of the books I'm reading as a short video, just for the fun of it. I don't know how long I'll do it, and I'll see how it goes and if anybody likes it. I don't know. Just something I'm experimenting with. But I did enjoy it overall. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I really like how she highlighted the role of the captain of the Carpathia, and which was the ship that rescued the Titanic passengers. I like how she highlighted his role in saving them, because, like, you know, we're always told, I think Mr. Rogers originally said it, look for the helpers when tragedy strikes or when something drastic happens. And that's what she's doing. She's highlighting the helpers and giving them the honor that they deserve. And the point is made in the book that people won't remember the Carpathia. Like, that's not going to be a household name, but they'll remember the tragedy, the Titanic. But I do think it's important to remember the people who nobly and sacrificially saved as many people as they could in that tragedy. So that was, I'm really glad that she wrote that book. I think it's a really important one. I preferred the perspective of the passenger, Kate, who was on the Titanic, to the perspective of the captain of the Carpathia, although his perspective was vital to the story. So it was good. It just, in my opinion, was not quite as well done as Kate's. I don't know. I think that the author writes more romance novels and that sort of story, so I think that it's a lot easier for her to get into a girl's head and to, like, be in that situation, whereas the position of the captaining the ship and all the things she had to deal with, obviously she had done a lot of research, but there was a lot of info dumping. So anyway, it wasn't as engaging, but it was still interesting. I still enjoyed it. I still highly recommend it if you like Titanic history, or if you like historical fiction. It was for Alma's Journey Through Time at Sea prompt, and it perfectly fit that one. I don't normally like books set at sea, but this one was very good. And also, it was not a Christian book. I don't think it was published as a Christian fiction. It's published by Shadow Mountain, which I think is clean fiction. But there was a lot of faith involved in the story because of the faith of the characters. Apparently, Captain Rostron, who was the captain of the Carpathia, was a Christian, and his faith was involved in all the decisions that he made and in his interactions with the crew and in his memories of the event. There are direct quotes from him throughout the book, and it's obvious that he had a very strong faith. So that was really neat to see. So anyway, that was that book, and now I'm off to go get my hair cut.
You're gonna have a lot of chances, aren't you? How'd you do on the wheel?
I got $3 off.
Oh yeah, she's a winner. All right, go mama. $20
It's yeah. You can. I mean, it's so similar to the other. Exactly. I already grabbed.
Okay, so haircut didn't happen yet, as you can tell. Because I had not made an appointment, of course, because I don't roll like that. And they couldn't take me in, which I was afraid would happen. This being a Saturday afternoon. So I might try to go again later. And I really need to try to go again later because I really need a haircut. But right now I'm at home waiting for my husband to come home so we can go to the flower show. And in the meantime, making myself some sweet tea. But with a secret ingredient. So this morning, I went and picked a bunch of dandelions from my yard, cleaned them, and picked out all the petals, which was very time consuming. And then I used them to make a syrup. I guess that vegans and other people for other reasons make this to be like honey because it tastes very similarly to honey. And actually, I mean, it looks exactly like honey. And it tastes like a very light honey. So, I don't know. That's really cool. So I'm going to put it in my sweet tea. And that's what I'm going to use to sweeten my tea. I started looking into what I could do with dandelions because I was reading through an article about detoxing and stuff. And it was saying that you need to support various body systems while you're detoxing. And I think that dandelions support the kidneys, if I remember correctly. Not 100% sure about that, but that sounds right. Anyway, I'm sort of trying to go through the list of things that were in the article and do all of them. You know, just kind of like aiming for a healthier version of me. So that's the reason why I don't know that dandelion honey in my tea is going to do anything big, but you know, I guess it all adds up. So anyway, that's what I'm doing right now, and hoping my husband gets home soon so we can go to the flower show. Haircut done. It doesn't look any different because, well, not much different because it's the same haircut. It's just 2 inches shorter. So, you know, this is my low maintenance hair care plan. I just do a blunt cut and then I let it grow until I can't stand it anymore. And then I get a blunt cut again. And I trim my bangs at home usually, but then when I go and get a haircut, I have them like even it out, and she like textured it and everything. So it's not that much different, but feels nice.
Say to him, this is your son Joseph.
Bloom. Randomly, my irises have decided to bloom in the winter, so I don't have many blooms coming up this spring, it looks like. I'm not sure how you fix that. Or even what the problem is. But at least I have one pretty bloom so far. Okay, it's Tuesday evening, and I just finished a 20-minute cleaning sprint in my kitchen, and I have about 15-20 minutes before I need to take my son to meet his cousins to go see a movie, and so I'm going to read. Alma and I agreed that we are going to finish these Healing Hills today, so I have a few chapters left. Let's see how much of them I can read before it's time for me to leave. Okay, I need to pause for the moment. I have a chapter and a half left. A chapter and a half. I'm gonna have to read it when I get home, so pause. We'll be back. Okay, so I dropped my son off to watch the movie. I came home and I made dinner, and while I was eating my dinner, I finished reading the book because I was home alone, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it. I did find the ending a little bit abrupt. There was a lot of like build up, and then we get this moment that's actually pretty fleeting in the last chapter. And there's a lot that doesn't get resolved per se. Not resolved, but there's loose ends and threads to the story. So I need to look up and see if it's part of a series. Maybe there are some other, at least connected books that might finish up some of these loose threads. I don't know, but that would be my one complaint about it. I do like Anne Gaphardt's writing overall. I have enjoyed the books that I have read. This is the third one, I think, that I've read by her, and it was very good. I loved this setting. I loved the themes of home and like what makes you at home. And I loved how she compared and contrasted our two main characters. So a romance is a big part of the story, but there's a lot more to it than that. She's comparing and contrasting the male and female main characters in a couple of different ways. One, the man, he's been fighting in World War II. And so he's coming back home, and home for him is the mountains of Kentucky. So it's very different from his life in World War II, where he'd been serving as a medic and everything that he had experienced there. And kind of his world had expanded beyond the mountains, which most of the mountain people, you know, their life was the mountain and nothing else. So it was about, for him, like, what is home? He's coming home, but is it really home? And he's trying to find out if that's his place. And if he really does want to stay there the rest of his life. Does he want to be a doctor? And if he wants to be a doctor, does he want to come back to the mountains? Or, you know, like he's very uncertain of his future and what home looks like for him. And honestly, that's one of the threads that doesn't fully get resolved for me to my satisfaction. And then the girl, Fran, the guy's name is Ben. Fran, she's from the city. She's from Cincinnati. And so she's trying to get away from her home because her mom is a piece of work. I believe that's how Alma put it, and it's the best way to describe her. Let me give you an example, okay? When Alma goes home for a short break because she has to take an exam, and so she just travels a couple hours on the train to go visit her mom. While she had been gone, her mom had moved. She'd gotten married and moved. And so she had cleaned out Fran's bedroom, but instead of just like boxing everything up and storing it, she had saved a couple of things, but she had given away all the books, all of her books, including books that were personally meaningful to her, like her copy of Little Women that her grandmother had given her. Okay, like, what kind of mom does that? Okay. No, I get it. When your kids are adults and they leave their stuff in your house. Like, I didn't go through this because I hadn't been living at home for a really long time. So I didn't have anything at home when I got married. But my husband did. And we lived in the same town as them for a while. So it was just convenient. Our apartment was small, whatever. It was convenient to leave stuff there. But eventually, we did have to go and get all of the stuff. And I can imagine, like, that would be a huge pain to have your grown kids' stuff there when they have their own place to live and their own place to keep their stuff. This situation was a little bit different, but also the mother made no attempt whatsoever to contact her daughter and say, hey, what do you want me to do with the books? We're moving. I can't keep them. What would you like me to do? If I were Fran, I would have made a special trip to go and fetch my books and figure out what I was going to do with them. The mother did not make that possible because she never even mentioned it to Fran. Fran comes home and her mom's like, oh, by the way, I gave away all your books. That's the kind of woman we're dealing with, okay? So Fran wasn't really loving home, not to mention that she had a loose engagement of sorts with a young man she had grown up with, like a high school sweetheart. And he went off to war, but then he found somebody in England. And so he was like, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm going to marry her instead. So, yeah, okay, bye. I mean, Fran was kind of like, what's there for me at home? So home for her was something she was looking for. And she didn't have a home to return to. She was looking to build herself a home. And the whole course of the story is her finding her home in the mountains and with Ben in particular and his family, who come to represent all of the things that she has been missing in her life that she didn't actually have in her real home, her biological home, so to speak. That was one of the ways that Anne Gephardt was comparing and contrasting these two characters. Another thing that she did was, I thought this was a really neat little device or whatever, if you want. I thought it was cool. The male character, Ben, he had this voice in his head, you know, like, I'm sure there's like a literary term for it, but someone who's, you know, reminders, memories of someone who was very wise to him, and that was his father, who had passed away before the story starts. And so his memory of all of the things that his father had said to him is very fresh, and he's constantly being reminded of wisdom from his father, or imagining what his father would say to him in certain situations. And then Fran has the same thing, not from her mother, but from her grandmother. Her grandmother was the one who was the voice of wisdom for her and who was encouraging, giving her guidance throughout her life. And so her grandmother's voice is the one who kind of gives her guidance and direction in her life. So I thought that that was really cool, how they both really leaned into that wisdom from their father and grandmother as they were, you know, navigating this search for home. And one other thing I want to mention is that I really loved the character Becca. Loved the character Becca. Okay, let's see if I can juggle a couple things here because I actually want to read some quotes. So Becca is Ben's sister, and she's just this character who brings light and life to the story, and she prompts everybody's sense of wonder. She's always singing and encouraging everybody to sing. She's always has a humorous comment to bring light to a situation. And she's just, I just loved her character so much. And she's having her own struggles throughout the story. And she's really walking through them with a lot of grace, although her story is not the point of the book, but it is a beautiful part of the story, I think. And so she's talking to her brother, Ben, and she's talking about how in the mining town where she lived before she came back home, her neighbors didn't like it when she sat on her front porch and rocked her chair and sang. Like, they didn't like that. And she's like, you know, they would give her looks. And she said, you'd think a person would want to hear something to take the gray out of those places. But some folks gather gray around them. And that is so true. And a little bit convicting. Like, am I a person who brings light like Becca did? Or am I the kind of person who carries the gray around them or gathers gray around me? So then she and Ben have this conversation about being happy. And she says, happy ain't always so easy to catch and hold on to as the storybooks tell us, is it? And he says, well, we don't live in storybooks. And she says, I can't argue with that, especially here in these hills. But that don't mean we don't have stories to tell. I'm thinking you could tell plenty if you wanted. And he said, some stories are better left untold. Remember, he's just come back from the war. And she says, I reckon we do pick and choose what we want to tell and what we don't. And this is my favorite part. Me, I like turning stories into songs. And right this minute, I'm catching hold of Happy sitting here on this porch to sing with nobody but that blue jay up there in the oak yonder to complain about it. Oh, I like this too. Another character is talking to Fran, our main female character, and she says, Ma says that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, but that the Lord has put something pretty in everybody. I like that. I really like that. A good perspective to have. So many quotes. I actually highlighted so many things. Another related quote to that one is, there's beauty in everything if a person takes the time to look. Okay, one more I want to share about Becca. And this was actually one of my favorite scenes in the story. Becca has a baby, and while it's a difficult delivery because the baby is breech. And so the nurse says to her, go ahead and scream if you need to, that might help. And this is what she says. Me a screaming ain't gonna be the first thing this baby of mine hears. Becca gasped, Ma, sing my baby here. I love this. And so her ma says, surely I can do that. Mrs. Locke leaned close to Becca under the quilts. So then the mom sings, toodaloo-ra-loo-ra, toodaloo-ra-lie, etc. I love that. My favorite part. Okay, so anyway, it was a wonderful book. I really enjoyed it. And I am also reading The Rose and the Thistle by Laura France. Also really enjoying this. Although I'm not going to lie, I'm probably not quite 25% of the way through yet. You can see where my bookmark is. I was really, really straight up confused the first 4 or 5 chapters. Like, I'm going into chapter, more than that probably, actually. The first 10 chapters, I'm going into chapter 13. And everything is starting to kind of settle into place. So maybe I'm just dense. I do know Laura France doesn't waste any time in this book, like, explaining a lot of things. Like, I think you're supposed to be kind of discovering it as you go along. But I was really confused. Really confused. But I think I'm starting to figure it all out. So it's not a problem per se. I just was, I don't know, a little daunted. Is that a thing? Because, like, I know you can be undaunted. But I was a little daunted. Anyway. But I'm coming out of my confusion and things are starting to make sense. And in any case, I'm really enjoying it. So that's the only other thing I have going at the moment, surprisingly. And I don't feel like picking anything else up today. I'll just read that some more. Who knows if I'll pick anything else up tomorrow. I don't know. I got kind of a long day and I need to bring some reading material with me. So we'll see. Alleluia. Yes. So this time we're going to sing it correctly. Third verse. Highest heaven his Lord receives. Alleluia. Yet he loves the earth he leaves. Alleluia. Though returning to his throne. Alleluia. Still he calls the world his own. Alleluia. See, he lifts his hands above. Alleluia. See, he shows the Prince of Love. Alleluia. Hark his gracious lips bestow. Alleluia. Blessings on his church below. Alleluia. Excellent. Hello, it's Thursday afternoon, and as you can see, it is a gorgeous day outside. We are back to warm weather, at least briefly. So I like that. I am home alone again. My family is at flag football, and I know that they are stopping on their way home to pick up dinner. So I stopped on my way home to pick up dinner, and I ended up going to Whole Foods and getting some food from their salad bar, and then I walked down the street to Pete's and got some iced coffee there. And I'm going to sit here on my deck and get some sunshine and read a little more of The Rose and the Thistle by Laura France. Right, well, I finished my delicious dinner, and I have read up to halfway through The Rose and the Thistle, and I am really enjoying this by Laura France. It is one of my favorite books by her. I love the setting of Scotland and the time period of the Jacobite Rebellion and the different things that were happening at that time between Scotland and England and the kings. I think it's Hanover versus Stuarts. And so it's interesting, an interesting time period to me. I do wonder if I want to look up some of the aspects of the story, like how historically accurate they are. I would assume that they are, because Laura France she does meticulous research. So I would assume that it's historically plausible at the very least. But I do have some questions about some things. All the same, I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying the characters. I really am liking the characters. They're well drawn, a little bit on the complex side, maybe a little bit. The guy especially, he's really kind of hard to read, honestly, the way that he's written. And I think that's intentional. It's a little bit hard to know, like, pin him down, like what he's going to do or say next, or, keeps you guessing, but not in a bad way. I do feel like the romance aspect of it right now is a little bit awkward at this phase of the story. It's not as much about the romance as it is about other things happening, but the romance is definitely part of the story. And right now, like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it feels a little awkward. A couple of the encounters just awkward in the sense that I'm not sure, like, the story writing is awkward. Like, at that phase of the relationship, would they have really said that to each other? Would people in that situation have really felt free to ask that question or express themselves in such a way? So that's the awkwardness I'm talking about. Not necessarily awkwardness between them, although there's maybe a little bit of that as well. But I am enjoying it. It's currently the only thing I'm reading. I'm actually thinking about reading The Enchanted April while it's still April, because I've been wanting to read that for a long time, and it just seems like a book that you should read in April if you can. And this is my last must read of the month, and so I have not quite a week, or I guess about a week left, that I can read anything, really. I have other books on my shelf that were my TBR that I could read, but I just might pick up The Enchanted April. In fact, I think I have almost convinced myself, so I might do that. I guess we'll see. I did not, in fact, pick up The Enchanted April, but I probably will. But first, I'm really focused on finishing The Rose and the Thistle, because I'm about 70% of the way through the story, and I really just want to... I'm just at the point where I want to read it, and I want to find out what's happening, and it's interesting and engaging, and so I want to read it. And the romance aspect of it has improved. Initially, it was a little bit rocky, but now I'm really enjoying it. And as far as couples in her stories goes, I'm really shipping them a lot, more so than some of her others. Some of them I've really loved, and others have been like, But these, I'm really liking these two characters, and I'm liking them together. It's a good fit. So that is what I'm doing right now to wrap up my week. I have a busy day tomorrow ahead of me, and you will have already seen this, or it will have already happened by the time you see this, but I'm doing a live tomorrow night with Charlene, so I need to get ready for that. I have a couple other things I need to get done, but I'm hoping to finish The Rose and the Thistle. So that will all be in next week's vlog, though. So stay tuned. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed going along with me this week to the Flower and Garden Festival and my other normal daily life adventures. And let me know your thoughts on the books I've been reading, and let me know what you're reading. I always love to hear what you guys are reading and what you think about it. And I will see you next time. Bye.